Dunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video covering a topic that I haven't really discussed much in the past. Today I'm going to be reacting to and discussing the results of the latest DJ Mag Top 100 DJs poll, which was announced at ADE this past weekend. If you're unfamiliar with this poll, I don't totally blame you because it's really not that big of a thing in America. It's really a much bigger deal over in Europe, hence why the results of the poll are announced at ADE rather than Ultra Miami or EDC. Now basically the DJ Mag Top 100 DJs is a poll that runs annually. It's voted on by the public. Because it's a publicly voted poll rather than having the votes come in from a panel of industry insiders or something like that, the polls are always pretty skewed, and the DJ Mag poll tends to be particularly infamous. I shouldn't even have to say this, but this poll is in no way indicative of talent, mixing skill, fluidity in sets, scratching, basically things that you'd expect the best DJ to be good at. If it was, I'd think that A-Track would be at the top of the poll every single year, but obviously he's not. More so, the results of this poll every single year seem to be who has the best marketing, who asks for votes from fans, who has women running around with iPads telling people to vote for them. You know, the stuff that a normal, unbiased poll has. Also, I think more often than not, people tend to vote for their favorite EDM artists on this poll rather than the best DJs of that specific year that they're voting for, which is really how the poll should be run, hence why acts like Daft Punk end up on this poll year after year, even though they haven't toured since like 2007. I actually haven't looked at this year's results prior to this point, but I'll be very surprised if Avicii doesn't end up on the list, even though he obviously hasn't played any sets in a while. I feel like the way that everything works with this poll is just so backwards. First of all, I don't think it should be publicly voted at all. I think there should be a panel of DJs, kind of like the Grammys, former winners who are allowed to vote on who gets a spot. However, if it's going to continue being a publicly voted thing, I think there should be certain criteria that each DJ has to meet in order to be considered. For example, playing at least one DJ set in the year that the vote is for should absolutely be a requirement. God knows why it's not. I think there should be certain requirements as to what constitutes a DJ. For example, if Porter Robinson is doing nothing but World's live sets for an entire year, I think he should not be considered. Even though he is a fantastic live performer, it's not a DJ set. Regardless, though, of my opinions on all of that, I vote on the DJ Mag poll every single year. I have since 2013, which was the year that Hardwell took the crown from Armin van Buuren. Although my outlook on how exactly I vote tends to change every single year, I originally started voting with kind of the intention of I have to vote someone who has a realistic chance, and then I started just voting for like Monster Cat artists and, artists that I kind of like in that vein who are also DJs. And more recently, I've started voting based on, in my opinion, how it should be done, which is which DJs you've seen in 2019, this year, for example, that you think did the best DJ set. So not whose music I enjoy, not which DJs I've seen in the past and really liked sets from, people that I've specifically seen in the year that the vote is for, who I think put on the best performance. Hence this year my votes were for Rusko, Chime, Skrillex, Two Friends, and I.O. All DJs I saw this year at the Gorge, at Paradiso, with the exception of Chime, who I saw at a different show earlier in the year, and I ranked them by literally how much I enjoyed their sets, and I plan on doing it this way every year moving forward, given that DJ Mag doesn't tighten the restrictions and have an exclusive panel, which I really hope they switch to. I think that my only vote that's going to actually end up in the top 100 is Skrillex, but I don't really care at this point. If I'm not voting for my favorite DJs, then what's the point of voting at all? Since there's 100 different DJs here, I obviously won't be able to discuss every single one every single placement or anything like that. I'm just going to be discussing certain things that stick out for me, and even I'm not even going to know a lot of these guys because many of the people who are on this poll are going to end up being people who are more popular in just Europe. I really don't see DJs outside of the US, so whoever's playing in festivals or club shows over here is pretty much all I'm going to be able to talk much about. Otherwise, I guess I can talk about music, but this is really more about live performance, so if anything sticks out to me, of course I'm going to talk about it. But without further ado, let's react to these results. So first off here we've got Solomon, who I hadn't really heard of him prior. It looks like he was on this poll in previous years, but I actually really enjoyed his remix of Emerald Rush by John Hopkins. I think that remix was absolutely killer. If the rest of his music is like that, I'd say I'd really like to see him live, but beyond that, can't really say much. You know, spot number 100. It's a better spot almost than any of these other lower spots, just because it's the final spot, if you get what I mean. Like I don't know, I feel like it's more special to get the 100th spot than like the 93rd or something like that, even though you technically got less votes. Swanky Tunes, I haven't actually heard much from these guys for quite a long time. I know they used to be pretty involved with the Swedish House Mafia guys. I think I was actually thinking they were broken up, but that's Hard Rock Sofa, I'm pretty sure. So it makes sense that these guys are down pretty low. I mean, like, I've never been able to see them at a festival. I don't think I probably never will, because I'm pretty sure they're just bigger over in Europe. And yeah, I haven't heard much from them musically that's all that groundbreaking recently. So Florian Picasso, it's sad to see him bumped down so far. I mean, kind of a similar situation where I haven't heard anything super groundbreaking from him in a little while. I like a lot of his electro tunes. I think some of his works are really groundbreaking, really cool. But yeah, I haven't seen him live, can't really judge on that. So I'm guessing, you know, he's down 36 spots because, you know, people just aren't caring as much as of recently. DOD here with a new entry is kind of surprising, because I feel like DOD was kind of at his prime a few years ago. I haven't really heard anything from him all that recently, so it's interesting for me to see him at 96 as a new entry, not a re-entry or anything like that. But yeah, I haven't heard anything from him in a long time, so that's kind of surprising to me. I'm gonna skip over a little bit here. Thomas Gold, that's exciting. I think that's cool that he re-entered here. I might have to. I'm guessing this means he's got some new music out, and I like a lot of his old stuff. So I'd probably be down to check out, see if he's got anything new. Paul Van Dyk, number 87. I think he was previously the number one DJ in the world, actually, at one point. I think before Armin van Buuren had his reign, I think Paul Van Dyk was number one. I could be wrong about that, don't quote me. But yeah, it's kind of sad to see him all the way down at 87. I think he's really talented, makes some cool stuff. I think I've seen him live as well at Paradiso, I'm pretty sure, but I was supposed to see him at a trance festival a while ago, and something came up and he couldn't, so that's kind of sad. Tom and Collins, this is a fun one because yeah, they're a new entry. I actually featured them on Your EDM. They did a guest mix on the Your EDM SoundCloud, which I run. So it's cool to see them there. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm not like huge on their music or anything, but it's cool to see somebody that I worked with on this poll. Vice Tone, some guys that I used to love quite a bit. In fact, I've voted for them, I think, multiple times on this list. Even though I've never actually gotten to see them live, I was hoping to see them at Foundation nightclub in Seattle back before that shut down, but of course I wasn't 21. I couldn't get in with them. They were very strict about not letting minors in. So, but yeah, I used to love their music a lot. I like their music now. I'm more of a casual fan than I was in the past, but it's cool to see them back on this list once again, rather than just completely off the darn thing. Robin Schultz, I mean, I haven't heard anything from him in a while. Haven't gotten to see him live. Can't really say anything all that much. Deniz Koyu, it's interesting to see him kind of go back to this alias when I know he was doing the Koyu kind of moniker for a while. And I think it might have been that alias that he placed on the poll last year, but it seems that thing didn't work out all that much for him. Andy C. Yeah, actually a fantastic DJ. I've been able to see him before. This is another situation where it's like I'm not super crazy about his original tunes, but he just throws down a massive DJ set. So much energy. Yeah, I think it's honestly criminal that he's low. He might be one of the only drum and bass DJs that end up on this thing. But yeah, he's very talented DJ. Sad to see him this low. I might have even voted for him if I had seen him this year, but I didn't. But it's good to see him actually up 11 spots. I didn't notice that. So yeah, criminal that he's low, but I'm also glad that he's as high as he is. Yellow Claw, this must be an old picture too, because I'm pretty sure Yellow Claw is just the two guys now. But yeah, I don't know. They're fine. I'm sure they throw down a fun DJ set. I think their music is okay, but yeah, whatever. Cedric Gervais, another artist who I haven't really heard from in all that long. It looks like he's gone up a few spots, which is interesting because he's another one who I feel like was in his prime a few years ago when he was doing those big remixes, Lana Del Rey remixes, and things like that. But I feel like he hasn't been active in the scene. So maybe it's a sign that people are voting more inclined with who they really like their sets. But yeah, I haven't ever seen him. Can't really comment in that regard. So yeah, whatever. We've got Deadmau5 here at number 71. And I think at one point, just a few years ago, or at least when I'm remembering my very first few years of voting, he was actually in the top 10. So it's very sad to see him this low. But it's also like, I don't care because Deadmau5, you know, he bashes the DJ Mag poll more than I do. And like, he's not really a DJ. I mean, Test Pilot is a DJ. Test Pilot is a fantastic techno DJ. Same guy, obviously, but geez, like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me that he's this low. Like, obviously, he's a fantastic producer. He's very influential, and nothing's going to take that away. But he's not really a DJ, so in my opinion, he shouldn't even be on this poll, but you know, whatever. We've got 3 Are Legend here, which, if I remember correctly, is Steve Aoki, Dimitri Vegas, and like Mike. Yeah, I don't know. Are these guys relevant to me? Not really. I've never been interested to see their DJ sets, and neither have I ever had the opportunity to, so it's not something I really care about all that much. And we've got Diplo here, who, that's an act who I'd really like to see a DJ set from, because I know he's a great producer all around, even beyond the realm of electronic music. I think his stuff is both influential and just really solid. So it's cool to see Diplo here, even though I guess he's down 25 spots. The Richie Houghton and Dioro, I don't really have much to say about. Both artists who I guess I'd say I've enjoyed tunes from in the past, but I haven't seen either of them live, so I can't really comment in that regard. Illenium, cool to see him here. He's definitely a DJ, kind of as a DJ live performer kind of hybrid, so I'd say he's kind of rides the line a little bit, but he is technically a DJ. It's cool to see him on here. I'm honestly surprised that he's not higher, because he's been picking up a ton of traction this year, especially with his 3rd studio album. The first one on a major record label, I might add, so that's definitely helped things. Fisher we've got here as well, though I feel like people are likely voting him more for the fact that Losing It got played so much during DJ sets, the fact that song is so recognizable at this point, rather than the fact that they just think he's a great DJ. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he does just throw down absolutely insane sets, but I feel like the fact that he's a new entry is more of a testament to the success of losing it than him as a DJ. Could be wrong. Breathe Carolina, we've got them up here at 62, and I've just got to like straight up disagree, because I've seen Breathe Carolina. First of all, it's weird to see them like on this list at all, because I originally came to know them as a band, so it's a bit strange to me. But Breathe Carolina, I think their DJ sets are really not that great. I got to see them at Paradiso a couple years ago, and it just wasn't a good time. A lot of shouting into the mic, a lot of just like terrible vocals. Would definitely rather see them in like a live band context than a DJ set, because it just like wasn't that fun. Alesso, I've seen a little bit live. I didn't catch his full set, but I did see him at Resolution, which was a New Year's Eve event in Seattle. And it was more enjoyable than I expected, because this was a period where Alesso was doing more of his pop stuff. And I would say that he puts on a pretty good set, surprising, more dancey, like progressive, big room type stuff. More in the vein of what I would have hoped to hear from Alesso than what I expected, I guess. So yeah, I'm fine with that. It looks like he's down 16 spots, so maybe this year he's been slacking. Ferry Corson, another act I actually saw that same night. This was a little bit after he dropped his Blueprint album, and he puts on a really solid DJ set. He's able to weave in, the story elements, or at least when I saw him, weave in the story elements of the album while maintaining a really smooth DJ set. So yeah, I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's up 16 spots. I don't know what his previous history is. I feel like he might have been up much higher at one point back when this list was a little more trancy. Steve Angelo is a non-mover here. I'm not actually sure Steve Angelo has done a DJ set this year. I mean, I'm not going to say he hasn't, because I don't know much, but I haven't heard much about him doing any solo stuff. I'm pretty sure all the Swedish House Mafia guys are more invested into the Swedish House Mafia revival right now than they are in their solo stuff. So I'm not surprised Steve Angelo is as low as he is, but whatever. Will Sparks here, an act that I'd really like to see, one of the key influencers in the Melbourne bounce movement, and someone that I'd really like to see. Can't really comment on his DJ sets because I haven't really gotten to see him, but beyond that, this position isn't all that surprising. I know he's really big in Australia, and I'm guessing he must be doing shows pretty frequently in Europe too. But we've got Kygo here, who, I can't imagine his DJ sets are all that exciting. I mean, it's tropical house. It's to me more headphone music than like live stuff. But down 20 spots, that's kind of sad. I know he's had a couple like bigger remixes, bigger hits as of recent. Obviously, he's not as big as he was a few years ago, but I guess this position isn't all that surprising. Down 20 spots is tough, but Zed, another DJ here who I'd really like to see, even though I don't care about his music. I'm not invested into it nearly as much as I used to. I feel like his sets would be a little bit more electro-oriented. He seems to have a really good taste in stuff during his DJ sets. I've been able to catch some like live streams featuring him, so I definitely look forward to seeing him. Looks like he's down 6 spots. The spot isn't all that surprising. He seems to be bigger in America anyway, so I'm not surprised he's kind of in the middle here. Adam Beyer I was gonna comment on, but then I realized Adam Beyer and Andrew Beyer aren't the same person, so I can't really say anything. Martin Jensen, it's interesting for me to see him here, because I remembered him doing like meme songs not that long ago, just like a couple years ago, so it's very interesting to see. Maybe he's been just a festival hit as of recent in Europe, but it's interesting for me to see him here. Alice in Wonderland here, we've got an artist who is big worldwide apparently, because she went up 52 spots, presumably from 96 before. That's crazy. It makes sense though. I've been seeing her name a lot around different festival lineups all across the world. It makes sense that she'd end up this high. I've made it clear in the past that I don't care much for her music, and I was able to catch the tail end of her set at Paradiso this year. I think she was playing at the same time as Rusko, so I had to miss most of it, and I didn't think it was all that fantastic, but from what I've heard, she weaves in like live instrument elements and things like that and vocals into her sets too, so it makes sense that people would really enjoy that. And yeah, I don't know. What I caught from her, it didn't seem like the transitions were all that complex or interesting. She did a lot of talking, but, you know, I can see why she'd be this high. I get the hype. I see the hype. Swedish House Mafia up here at 42. I honestly expected higher since they've been more adamant about doing live shows this year. In fact, I'm seeing them below Nicky Romero here, which is kind of surprising to me. Swedish House Mafia, you know, they're huge. I've always wanted to see them. Hopefully I will be able to see them. Hopefully they'll end up playing a show somewhere around here, but I don't know. It seems like they're back together for good, which could or could not happen, but we will see. Gonna skip a little bit here. Like I said, Nicky Romero is here at 37. Surprising to me that he's above Swedish House Mafia. It's just like he kind of plays a similar style of music, and it doesn't seem like his stuff has been quite as iconic. I guess to be fair, he runs one of the bigger like electro house, big room labels in EDM, so it makes sense that as the head of that, that a lot of people would be voting for him. So, and he's up 6, so wow, that's actually kind of surprising. We've got Blaster Jacks here. And I'm guessing they're up 1. I didn't realize they are still as popular as they used to be. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is their top spot ever. I'd have to probably look into it. But yeah, I guess they put out an album this year, and you know, I talked about it briefly. I think it's a nice flashback of what Big Room was great for, and it makes sense that they'd be where they are, I guess I'd say. Carl Cox, I am glad. I've never seen him live, but I have seen live streams featuring him, and you know, he's a legendary tech house DJ. Glad to see him up 18 spots. It seems like this is giving me more hope that people who are more familiar with I guess more underground styles of dance music are voting on this. Bass Jackers, now that's an interesting one. I'm surprised I haven't heard that name in like literally years, so I'm surprised they were even as high as 30 last year. I have literally not heard from them in forever, even longer than Blaster Jacks or you know, Nicky Romero. Don't really have much to say here. You know, I've liked a few of their songs in previous years, never been able to see them or anything like that. Here we've got Anger Fist, who I guess I'd say is the most popular hardcore techno DJ out there. I'd really like to see Anger Fist someday, but we will see if that actually ends up happening. His stuff seems very aggressive, and I could get down with that, especially after, you know, testing the waters with Virtual Self. I think I could definitely get down with it, so we will see if I end up doing that. But I don't know, guess I'm sad to see him down 4 spots, but I'm not really all that invested. We've got Umit Ozcan here, who, another name that it's like, haven't heard anything from the guy in forever. He doesn't seem to be super relevant in my book, or but I guess he must be popular enough in Europe to maintain all these votes. Vini Vici here, we've got them up 3 spots, which you know, not super surprising. Psytrance has been blowing up as of recent, so I'm not surprised to see them up this high, especially as one of the more distinct, recognizable names in that scene. Yeah, not really much else to say here. We've got Fed Legrand, or Fetty Legrand, however you want to say that, up here. I've reviewed his stuff before, have enjoyed my fair share of his stuff. Can't say I've ever seen him live. Headhunters, I think that's another situation where it's like, I don't know, haven't cared much for his music in the past. I'm not the biggest hardstyle fan, so who cares? Vinay here. Okay, now this is very confusing to me, because I remember when these guys were first kind of coming onto the scene, and like it seemed like nobody actually liked their music. Like, I don't think I ever saw a single like positive comment about a Vinay song. So like I'm surprised, unless maybe I'll eat my words if I go check them out and they're just blowing minds right now. But I don't know, at least if they haven't been able to evolve, I just don't see why they're up as high as they are. Very strange. But we've got Alan Walker here, and it looks like he's up 9 spots. I'm actually surprised he wasn't higher up in previous years. It seems like the guys who are more popular in the mainstream obviously are higher up on this list. So it's interesting. Yeah, like I said, he's up 9 spots. I'm not sure if I would necessarily consider Alan Walker a DJ. He might DJ, but it seems like his stuff is more performance based. So I'm not really sure. Cool guy though. Got to meet him, got to hang out for a little bit and do an interview. But yeah, never actually got to see him live. So yeah. We've got the Chainsmokers here, who I think I actually one year may have actually voted for them, because in 2015 I got to see them do a live set, and I actually, well, not a live set, I should say a DJ set live, back before they were doing their live band kind of infusion, and they were fantastic. I just love their song selection. They were able to pack like a lot of energy into it. So yeah, and it seems like their live show has only gotten better and better, despite their music kind of leveling out at a pretty low level. They're up 5 spots though. I'm not a Chainsmokers hater when it comes to live stuff. Quintino we've got here, who I think dropped one of the worst albums of the year this year, but I can't really judge all that much, because I'm gonna eat my words if I go against what I said before, and that this list should be based off of DJs. Yeah, I've never seen him live. It seems like he, at least in the past, used to make some nice like festival bangers, so that's probably what he's still doing. He's probably still getting a lot of festival gigs over in Europe, so I can see why he'd be where he be. Nervo here, that's kind of interesting, because I know both the sisters were pregnant at some point in this last year, so it's kind of strange to me to see them up so high when they were presumably off the road for a little while. But that's just how this list tends to be, I suppose. We've got Dubs here, who is an act that I've seemed to like their music a bit more. Never been able to see them live. Can't say I've been all that eager to, but I don't think I'd turn my nose to it if they said, hey, do you want to come see us live or something like that. But yeah. Above and Beyond here, we've got an act that I have wanted to see for many years, have enjoyed their music quite a bit. I'd say Group Therapy is one of my all-time favorite EDM records. But yeah, haven't been able to see them live. They're definitely on my bucket list. I hear they throw down an amazing live set, and I would love to catch them. At number 22, up 29 spots, which is nice. I'm glad to see a group with such influence and talent ending up this high on the list. Skrillex, I know he used to be at one point in the... Actually, I'm not sure he broke into the top 10. He might have gotten like as high as 12, but Skrillex, an artist, a DJ who I think should be probably significantly higher. Like I said, he's the only artist on my list so far that has actually ended up here. So he's a great DJ though. He just brings a ton of energy, clean, amazing transitions. Yeah, Can't really say too much negative about him. Lost Frequencies, I know he just dropped a new album, but I haven't actually listened to all that much of his stuff, and I haven't seen him live either, so might have to after seeing him so high up on this list. We've got Calvin Harris here, who is, or maybe was, the richest DJ in the world. Haven't gotten to see too much of his DJ sets, and I'd like to see him at some point. Maybe he's up 21 spots this year because of the Nazi headbanger music comment. I don't know. But yeah, a DJ that I'd certainly like to see. I mean, he must be doing something right as the richest DJ in the world. So, yeah. W&W, here's an act that I don't think I've seen them. Maybe I did, and I just didn't. Maybe their set was just like so unmemorable. But I've seen clips of them DJing before, and I really have no desire for it. I like more of their like hard trance style stuff. Back when they were doing work with Armada, I think they were doing some excellent work. But as of recent, I've just seen like run of the mill big room type stuff. So yeah, maybe that's why they're down 4 spots. Eric Prydz here. We've got an artist who. Another one that I'd certainly like to see, who's on my bucket list. An artist who I have a very infamous review of his album. Up 3 spots, and it's not that surprising because he seems to have been doing a lot of really groundbreaking stuff in the sphere of like live visuals. So yeah, not surprised to see him up this high, not surprised to see him go up 3 spots. DJ Snake, I was able to see, I think it was last year at Paradiso. It was when I saw Virtual Self for the first time. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last year. And, he throws down a pretty fun set, especially in the early leg of his sets. Throws down like a lot of heavy hybrid trap, dubstep style stuff. He seems to have good taste in that regard. And yeah, that's probably, bass music's on the rise, and he's kind of setting the tone for artists, in the pop sphere, kind of weaving in bass music elements, so it makes sense that he's up as high as he is. Kashmir here, that's actually, I'm actually kind of surprised to see him up this high. Pretty popular DJ and producer. I've liked his stuff pretty significantly in the past, especially in the early leg of his career. But I don't know. I can't really say much else other than that. I've been able to catch his DJ sets, and it pretty much encompasses what you'd expect a Kashmir DJ set to sound like. He does do a good job, like I mentioned before with Ferry Corson, kind of weaving in the story elements, which is probably... And I know his stage getup is also really, really cool. So... it makes sense that he's up this high if he hasn't changed much beyond that. And he seems to be doing really well with his record label too. I ended up enjoying the Sounds of Summer compilation more than I thought I would. Rehab, I'm actually surprised he is as high up as he is. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard too much from Rehab as of late. I didn't care for his newest album all that much here. I guess I wouldn't turn my nose to seeing him live. I've certainly liked a lot of his festival tunes. I like Tiger, I think is insane. I still play it at gigs. So I can't really say I'm like disappointed to see him this high. I guess I'm just more surprised than anything. Although apparently he was even higher last year. Timmy Trumpet here, we've got him up 20 spots. I didn't realize Timmy Trumpet was as popular as he is, apparently. So that's cool, I suppose. That's pretty nice. He was formerly a Monster Cat artist, so that's pretty cool that he's up this high. We've got Hardwell here, who... This is another situation where I really feel he ought to not be here because I don't think he's DJ'd this year. I think he's taken an indefinite hiatus from DJing. So very interesting to see him here. It was once the king of this poll, I think, for maybe 2 years before Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike took his spot, and then Martin Garrix took their spot. I mean, I guess if you include him in his Hardwell on Air podcast, I guess it would make sense that you could judge him as a DJ off of that, but it's interesting that he's up even this high. But then again, he's down 9 spots, which is hard to look at as a former big fan of Hardwell myself. Yeah, that's tough. We've got a lock here who can't really say I'm all that familiar with his music. Surprised to see him up this high. Must be pretty big over in Europe. Steve Aoki, legendary DJ, has changed the game with his cakes and his energy. But yeah, I'm not big into his DJ sets. I saw him for a little bit at a music festival, and it was just like this atrocious. I think it was like Fix You by Coldplay mixed into a Big Room song, and that just sticks out to me as like one of the like worst mashups I've ever heard live. So can't say I'd ever really itch to see Steve Aoki again unless he was playing at the same time at a music festival as another DJ that I just absolutely despised. But yeah, he seems to consistently end up in the top 10, though it looks like last year he was at 11, but we will see. Afrojack here, we've got him down 1 spot. Haven't ever seen Afrojack, but I don't know. I'd say that I'd be more excited to see him nowadays than I used to. I didn't really care for his music all that much a few years ago. But yeah, I don't know. His newest album, I think, was it Press Play or just Play or something like that? It was a cool, nice like refresher of his older stuff, and made me kind of appreciate that style a little bit more. Would like to see a set from him and kind of experience him in that sphere. We've got Tiesto here down 2 spots. I'm pretty sure Tiesto may have at one point been the number 1 DJ as well. I think I had the chance to see him, but then ended up not at one point. I'm fairly certain, because it's just like I really don't have that much of a desire to see him. If it was a situation where he was playing like a specifically trance set, playing like, his older stuff, his more influential works, I'd be super down. But, not really down to see Tiesto just play a bunch of collabs with different artists where they're just completely pulling the weight. We've got Oliver Heldens here up 2 spots, and I've seen Oliver Heldens, been able to catch him a couple different times. And yeah, I've never been like super thrilled with his sets. I think I saw him this year and enjoyed it more than I did a couple years ago, because I remember the first time I saw him, it would just be like entire songs of his back-to-backs with like acapellas of pop songs over the top and like nothing else, just like super basic transitions. But then this year I saw him, and it was like the early leg of his set was the more like housey underground techno, high-low kind of stuff, which was more enjoyable. But then he capped off the set with the same thing that I expected before. So, whatever. And while we're here, it might be worth noting that I haven't seen Daft Punk and I haven't seen Avicii, which makes me think that this poll might actually be more legit, that they kind of tightened up the restrictions. Even though Hardwell, I think, as I said before, it seems to be questionable because he has taken an indefinite hiatus from DJing, it appears that we're not going to get Avicii at this point, which, as much as I love him, as much as I loved him, is a good thing for this poll. So yeah, big ups to DJ Mag if they did end up tightening up the restrictions a bit. Here we've got Don Diablo, who I don't know, I gave his album a pretty neutral review, I'd say. Would definitely like to see him live. I feel like his the type of music I've seen him support in the past seems to be really fun, creative, cool stuff. So I would for sure like to see him do a DJ set. Interesting to see him up so high. I remembered back in 2013 or maybe late 2012 when he was just on the rise, and it's cool to see him so successful now. So we've got Marshmello here. That is not super surprising. Marshmello, one of the richest DJs in the world, basically the face of how branding has taken over the EDM scene as of recent. Makes sense that he's up this high. not really a huge surprise, plays diverse sets. I was able to see, I've seen him before. I don't think I stayed for his entire set, although maybe I did. I don't totally remember. I think actually he was playing before Tiesto at Paradiso, so I think I caught the last leg of Marshmello and then bailed before Tiesto, which I know is going to sound terrible, but Marshmello, he puts together nice, energetic bass music sets. Have nothing against him as a DJ. It's like his more simplistic production, stuff like Joytime 2 that I'm not a fan of. We've got Armin van Buren here, who is the former king of this list, just like Hardwell. Was the number one for a long time, although who's laughing now because he's way above Hardwell at this point. Yeah, to his defense though, Armin actually DJs these days. I've been able to see him live, and I wasn't as thrilled by it as I had hoped to be, because it seems like he's a big proponent of promoting up-and-coming trance acts, very influential in that sphere. So I'm, whatever. He's not the worst DJ. He's not. I'd certainly say he puts on a funner set, and lived up to my expectations more than, say, Oliver Heldens. But yeah. So here we're going to get into the top three, and so this will confirm that no Daft Punk or Avicii. So, I guess I'll eat my words from the beginning of the video. I'm sure DJ Mag must have tightened the restrictions on who is eligible for this, because I don't see how Daft Punk and Avicii would have not ended up on this list, even though it seems like that tends to happen. We've got David Guetta here, though, up 2 spots, formerly number 5. And yeah, I like what he's doing with his Jack Back alias. It makes sense that people would catch on to that and be able to appreciate him kind of going back into his roots a little bit. Yeah, I'm not upset to see him here. Would definitely like to see him live at some point. He's got a lot of hits under his belt. And yeah, and then we've got Martin Garrix, good old classic Martin Garrix, an artist who I have enjoyed quite a bit in the past. I loved his singles, in 2014, kind of that era. When he started going down the pop direction, I wasn't as into his stuff, but still an act that I'd really like to see a DJ set from. He's certainly on my bucket list. He's got some absolutely iconic big room songs, was a massive proponent in making that scene what it is today, has broken into the pop sphere better than most DJs ever will. Yeah, someone that I have a lot of respect for, even though he's gone down the pop route. But, it's whatever. And then here we've got the number one, and, this is to be expected. If you didn't know already, Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike are managed by the people who run Tomorrowland and the Tomorrowland family of festivals. And as I mentioned toward the beginning of this video, they're infamous for having women go around with iPads and have people vote on the DJ Mag poll. I'm assuming at Tomorrowland, and it seems like the people who run the festivals who manage Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike have launched some new festivals this year. So it makes sense that they would end up at number one yet again. I've never really had the desire to see Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike. Once again, it's a situation where it's like, if they literally personally invited me to come to one of their shows, everything's all free and everything, I wouldn't say no, sorry, not gonna happen. But I've never really cared for their music all that much. They've had a couple cool tunes, but yeah, it's just tough when you've got such talented DJs in this list, people who are able to create worlds and atmospheres. It's just really hard for me to see this at number 1. So not really much else to say here. This is just further proof that the DJ Mag poll is just very skewed, that it should not be a publicly voted thing. Once again, I'll say big ups to DJ Mag if they actually did switch some of their policies to make sure that people who aren't actually mixing music, doing live performance or a podcast or anything are ending up on this list. It seemed like this list was a bit more fair than I've seen it in the past. So even though I've seen a lot of complaints about this year, I think that's more because of Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike than anything. I also think it's just important to make sure people outside of Europe are voting more often, because you see an artist like Excision, for example, who's throwing these massive festivals all across the US, and like people are flying from all across the world to come see him, yet he's not even in the top 100. Like that's just insane, especially when you've got a lot of artists who I've never even heard of. Yeah, it's tough. I'd like to see more representation. I especially from bass music, I think it would make more sense for, acts like Excision or Sudden Death or Seven Lions or maybe even Rez, people that weave bass music into their sets. It just doesn't seem to be well represented here. Like there's basically Skrillex and not much beyond that. And like I said before, for drum and bass, we've pretty much just got Andy C, although I'm not going to count out the fact that there may have been artists that I'm not familiar with in the drum and bass scene there, but it's just insane. Like, why are there only 1 or 2 DJs for these genres that aren't big room? How Europe hasn't just gotten absolutely tired with big room is just beyond me. And, Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike is a testament to that. They haven't really evolved that much. They've been, involved in ghost producer scandals and things like that, although I'd rather not comment on that at this moment. But why? Just because they jump around on stage and go left, 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 right, right, right. I just don't care for it. It's nothing interesting, nothing all that groundbreaking, nothing that I feel invested into. Like I said, I voted accordingly this year. I voted for the people who I think put on the best sets in my book. I haven't seen Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike. I've seen, live streams and recordings of them, and it's just not something that I could see myself loving. So, I vote accordingly. I just vote what makes sense to me, and I'm really happy with my votes, even if none of them except Skrillex, like I predicted, ended up here. It would have been really cool to see IO end up on this list, I think, in particular. Techno DJ who has just been killing it as of lately. It just would have made sense. But I guess when Deadmau5 is as low as he is, and even Rez isn't showing up on this list, I can't really expect all that much more. So there's really not much more I can say here. Yeah, a bit disappointed with these results. I mean, it's not too much different than what I expected, but I was hoping at least a few would surprise me in a really positive way, but that did not happen. So, once again, I'd like to reiterate that I would very much like it if DJ Mag kind of switched to a more closed option. I think that would make more sense, make the poll be way less skewed, and I think for at least starts, the list should be comprised of every DJ who has placed on the top 100 in the past. They should all be eligible to vote, and maybe a few others beyond that, although it might be skewed if you go too far beyond that. Should really be artists and people who understand the craft, rather than, just fans who are trying to enjoy themselves at a music festival and a woman sticks an iPad in their face and tells them to vote Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike. I just don't think that's a good system. So, once again, it's just not something I really care about, not something I was really that invested into to begin with, but no matter what, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to let me know down in the comment section what your biggest surprises were with this list, you can let me know who you voted for, if you like, what your thoughts are in general on the DJ Mag poll. Feel free to let me know. going to have the results linked in the description if you guys want to look through it yourselves. I think there's like a little piece, if I remember correctly, written on each artist that makes the poll. As it is a DJ magazine, it makes sense. But yeah, if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video in particular, leave me a like. Anyway, I'm Landon Remixes, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.